relocation to Inglewood, California, just about an hour ago by a vote of 30-2. Sam Farmer there in the green shirt writes for the Los Angeles Times, and I wonder what he's going to ask Commissioner Goodell in the future now that he can't ask him about getting a team in L.A.
Well, possibly he's going to clear up some of those questions that we all have. So I am excited to listen to Roger Goodell.
Here's the commissioner.
Over there. Okay. I assume you want to wait? Yes. Okay, we all set? Yep. Okay, it's been a long process, a long day, so I apologize. I appreciate everyone's patience in allowing our process to play out. The NFL owners tonight approved the return of the Los Angeles Rams to the market, starting with the 2016 season. In 2019, they will be opening in a new stadium, which we are all, as ownership, very excited about. The kind of facility that's going to be built that we believe will be extraordinarily successful in the Los Angeles market. It's more than just a stadium. It's a project, an entertainment complex that we believe will be responsive to the kind of things we need to be successful with our fans in the Los Angeles market. This agreement also allows the Chargers to relocate to Los Angeles as well. If they do not exercise that option, the Raiders would have the option also to move to Los Angeles or to move to Los Angeles with the Rams. The agreement provides that we would give $100 million to both the Chargers and to the Raiders to use to help build a facility. If a new stadium could get built, we would contribute that $100 million to the project in both of those markets, which would be our hope. The ownership, I think, personally believes that the project at Hollywood Park was a kind of signature project that is going to help make us successful in Los Angeles for the long term. I said this morning that we've been at this for over 20 years. We felt that we needed to have the kind of stadium and kind of project that had the vision, that had the facilities that would really bring a new kind of fan experience to the NFL and to Los Angeles. And so we're very excited about the project that Stan's put together. I would also say and share with you, this morning I started the meeting by saying that a relocation is a painful process. It's painful for the fans, for communities, for the teams, for the league in general. Stability is something that we've taken a great deal of pride in. And in some ways, a bittersweet moment because we were unsuccessful in being able to get the kind of facilities that we wanted to get done in their home markets. So the excitement that we feel about being able to return the Rams to Los Angeles is balanced with a disappointment that we weren't able to get it done for our fans in St. Louis, San Diego, and Oakland. But we'll continue to try in those markets, and we'll continue to try to address those issues. I'm going to ask, because we had a lot of ownership involvement. We had extraordinary leadership from our LA committee. We had our stadium committee and our finance committee also involved. Art Rooney and Bob McNair chair the stadium committee and finance committee. They are important members of the LA committee, and I'm going to ask them to make a few comments, followed by Dino Stan, and if Mark would like to make any comments, we're going to invite him also to do so, and then we will take your questions. So, thank you. Art.
Well, I just want to say thanks to all of our partners who went through a long process here for the last really couple of years. In particular, Stan, Dean, and Mark, whose commitment to getting something done brought us to this day, and we're excited that we got something done. It was time to get a franchise back to Los Angeles. It was time we get this situation resolved and get a program in place for the other communities to continue to work to keep their franchises. So it's been a long, difficult process, difficult decisions, but I think we came together today to make a good decision and see a great stadium be built in a great city. So appreciate all the hard work by a lot of people. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to congratulate Stan and also thank Dean and Mark for their participation in this project. This has been going on for like 2 years that we've been working on this. And these projects are very large, they're very expensive, and involve a lot of people and requires a lot of cooperation and a lot of patience. And I was pleased that we were able to come up with a plan today that was satisfactory to our members, our member clubs, and that will take care of the Los Angeles market, will provide incentive for the Chargers and the Raiders to see if they can do something in their home markets by giving them some additional equity funds. And so we're quite pleased with the outcome and look forward to the development of a real NFL campus out in Los Angeles.
Dino?
Thanks, Bob. I'd just like to read a statement, if I could. My goal from the start of this process was to create the options necessary to safeguard the future of the Chargers franchise while respecting the will of my fellow NFL owners. Today, we achieved this goal with a compromise reached by the NFL ownership. The Chargers have been approved to relocate to Los Angeles at the Inglewood location at any time in the next year. In addition, in assistance in the event there is a potential solution that can be placed before voters in San Diego, I will be working over the next several weeks to explore these options that we have now created for ourselves to determine the best path forward for the Chargers. Thank you.
Well, this is not a win for the Raiders today, but at the same time, I'm really happy for Stan Kroenke and the Rams going to Inglewood. I want to congratulate the mayor of Inglewood, Mayor Butts. Is a good friend of mine. And we'll see where the Raider Nation ends up here. We'll be working really hard to find us a home. And that's what we're looking for. And so for our fans and everything else, don't feel bad. We'll get it right. All right? Thank you very much, and congratulations, Stan.
I told everyone in the room today that, this has been multi-years in the making, and we've spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time on the Los Angeles committee for a number of years, and it's a difficult market. It's a difficult place to permit a stadium and build something that we as a league can all be proud of. I think we worked hard. We got a little bit lucky, and we had a lot of good people help us. And first of all, my partners in the league office, just outstanding. They really served to inspire me and keep me going. It is a difficult process, and as Roger said, it is bittersweet. We understand the emotions involved of our fans, and it's not easy to do these things. They are purposefully made hard. But we're here today. We made a decision and worked long and hard at the various alternatives when they didn't succeed, we worked this one to this point. And so we're excited, and I want to thank all my partners in the NFL, also Mayor Butt, who is in Inglewood, who's quite excited, I'm sure. This is a big economic benefit to as some longtime leading Angelenos have told me. They said, I don't know if you can do this, but if you can get it done, it'll benefit a lot of people with lower incomes. Also, you know, I've had a home in the area for 20 years, and it'll be a lot of fun for me as I spend a lot of time out there anyway to move forward, look forward, and build a great stadium for our league and for Los Angeles. Thank you.
Okay, we'll open it up to questions. You do have the microphone. We'll begin here with Kevin Acey from San Diego.
Dean, you said you'll be exploring the options over the next few weeks. You've been given a year to work out something with.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Work out something with the Rams. Do you expect that you will try to remain in San Diego?
You know, I'm going to take a day off tomorrow, I think, but this has really been excruciating, I'm sure, for everyone. But, you know, I'm going to look at all our options. I'm going to take a little bit of time here, but, you know, we do have some options. So, you know, it's very difficult to say right now I'm going to do this or do that.
We'll go with Sam Farmer, LA Times.
Roger, a 21-year odyssey here, and you worked on Los Angeles long before you were commissioner. Why now? What was it about Inglewood that made the iron hot? Why does it get done now?
Well, I've often said over those 21 years that what we need is a great facility, Sam. I think the reason why the two teams left for a large part in the 90s, the Rams and the Raiders, was because they didn't have an adequate stadium. We were unsuccessful, as you know, for many years in trying to get something done that would meet the standards of what we expect for LA, what the entertainment of the capital of the world expects, and what we want to deliver to our fans in Los Angeles. I think what happened over the last year is we had two outstanding opportunities. Both of these stadium projects were extraordinary. It was a difficult decision for the ownership, but we also realized this was our opportunity. If we had three teams that were eligible to be able to make the relocation, that had invested a great deal of time, resources, energy, emotion. We had communities that we were working to try to see if we could solve those issues in each of the home markets and the incumbent markets. We were unsuccessful in doing that. And this was an opportunity, I think, for the ownership to re-enter the Los Angeles market, returning the Rams to their home market, and with a project that we think is going to change, frankly, not just NFL stadiums and NFL complexes, but I think sports complexes around the world. I think this is going to be one of the greatest complexes in the world. And I think it's part of Stan's vision, and I think the ownership supported that.
Frank, St. Louis.
Frank Cusimano, KSDK. Stan, what do you say to the people in your home state who supported your football team quite well over 21 years, despite a below-average product and despite no communication from you over the last 4 years? What do you say to the people in St. Louis?
Frank, how are you today? It's good to see you. Well, you know, Frank, I've been open about this process. This thing, what has happened here has gone on since 2002. Let's be fair. I understand the emotional argument. I said that earlier. But it's not something that you want to do. It's when you have a history of and a lease that was part of the reason that the team moved there. And the lease requires certain things as an owner, and to be able to appeal to our fans, we have to have a first-class stadium product. We're in that business elsewhere, as you know, Frank, and we spend quite a lot of resources trying to make sure that we stay relevant, and these stadia have to be of a certain quality. Now, the promise was made. There was a very detailed requirement for community engagement, which we followed. And so what I would say is I understand the emotional side. I have a responsibility also to take care of the organization and a responsibility to my 31 other partners to have a first-class facility because it's where they play too.
Stan, Fred Rogan from NBC in LA. Commissioner, you said it was a bittersweet day. And Stan, after just listening to Frank, I'll ask you this question. The emotion of the fans in St. Louis. Now let's flip it on the other side. And what do you think it means to the fans of LA, where the Rams spent the majority of their years? What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, this is the hardest undertaking that I've faced in my professional career. But as I said, you know, I was on that committee for a long time. It's difficult in Los Angeles. And you do not want to come into Los Angeles without something that's really first class, because that's what's expected. So I'll tell you a story about one of the guys that works with us that is from LA. His mother was at a deli yesterday in Los Angeles, and a fan was wearing a Rams cap, and so she was talking to him, and she said, wanted to know about the connection with the Rams, and he said, well, he was at the rally at the Coliseum on Saturday, and that he thought there was a chance that the Rams might return. It would be his happiest week in 21 years or something, and that's the emotional side. And so the Rams were there a long time, and I know it means a lot to those fans. I oftentimes get stopped in Los Angeles, and they'll go, are you that guy? Over the years, and it's a little bit different. There'll be a FedEx driver or something, but he'll tell me a story about how he went with his dad to the games when he was young and things, and how he knew every player. And so I think it's a tremendously exciting and positive thing for Los Angeles.
Stan, Nick Wagner, ESPN. You said you've been working on this since 2002. In 2010, you made comments about not wanting to lead the charge out of St. Louis. Just curious, at what point did you decide that this was the right thing for you, and what was the impetus behind it?
Well, without getting into all the details of it, I mean, I knew it was a big undertaking, and I remember that when I was buying the remainder of the team in 2010, I thought long and hard about it. I thought long and hard about it because we'd had 8 years with dealing with that lease, and we weren't getting where we wanted to, and we'd given, the Rams had, I say we, the Rams had given various extensions and compromises to the authority, CBC and the RSA, allowing them a bit of a free ride, if you will, to get to that point. And there were provisions that required by 2012 that if these plans and things weren't crystallized, that you were going to enter a different phase. And that phase would be arbitration in front of judges. And so from the history, those 8 years of watching the Rams deal with that, I knew that was going to be an issue, but it wasn't something I particularly looked forward to, frankly. But I felt like you could not back off from it, and I was always honest with the market about that. And so in 2012, it resulted in an arbitration, 3 judges chosen by each side, a very detailed and expensive process where we spent lots of money, and they spent some money too. So it was expensive for both sides. But the judges, in a very short time, agreed with our plan. Now, what did that really mean? It meant that the authorities had another 6 months to make up their mind. They still could say, hey, they took our plan. And they chose not to. Now, the remedy for that was only one, and it was in the lease, and it was the absolute right to relocate. Now, that remedy was put in there. If you go through the history of the Rams, it wasn't our remedy. It wasn't a remedy we particularly wanted at the time. We wanted the right to do what you normally do. We're real estate developers. Back then, we were involved as a 40% owner or whatever, or going to be when that lease was delivered. And the Rams and John Shaw were very specific because there were other alternatives, and they were very specific about certain things they wanted. One of them was that stadium maintained in a first-class condition. So the remedy that the Rams wanted was the right to sue and cure and sue for the damages or whatever, but that was never part of the deal. So the remedy that they suggested was the right to relocate. And so after that 6 months after the arbitration, when they decided they didn't want to do the plan, we had one remedy, and that was the right to relocate. So that's how we ended up here.
Yeah, Harry Weber at Bloomberg. I just have a couple housekeeping questions for the commissioner or one of the relevant owners. How long do the Chargers have to decide whether they're going to move? And if they choose not to, how long do the Raiders have to decide if they're going to move? And secondly, as I understand it, the Rams have to pay a relocation fee. How much is that?
Let me make sure I get to all your questions in order. The Chargers have 1 year. The Raiders would have 1 year from the time that the Chargers either notice that they are not interested or stay in San Diego. The relocation fee is something that the ownership decides, and that's a matter that is between the 32 owners.
Yeah. Nate Abraham, Zenny 62 Media. My question was from Mark Davis, but he seemed to have left the stage, so I'll adjust it. He made a comment that he expected to have a stadium done wherever or anywhere. He didn't mention Oakland. Would you like to see a stadium deal done in Oakland? Can you clarify, please?
I can't speak for Mark, but I would tell you that Mark has been very consistent with he preferred to stay in Oakland to get a stadium that's suitable for the long term so the Raiders Nation can have the kind of facility that they deserve. I think he'll continue to work on that, but those decisions are going to be made by Mark. We as a league and the collective 32 owners have said they want to incentivize the community to go ahead and try to get the kind of facility that the Raiders need. And that's why the $100 million was afforded to the Raiders to try to get something done in that market.
Roger, question for you and then one for Stan over here. Roger, you said 1 year. I just want to clarify. Does that mean if if Dean made a decision a week from now that he wanted to go to Los Angeles this year, can he do that, or is it 1 year prohibition?
He has up to 1 year in the option.
Okay, so he can go in the 2016 season if he wishes.
Yes.
Okay, and then the same thing applies to the Raiders once Dean makes his decision.
Yes.
Okay, and for Stan, there's been some concern out there among people that this is any partnership with you would be a landlord-tenant relationship, and that could be problematic. How do you see the structure of a relationship between either the Chargers or the Raiders if they so choose to go to Los Angeles?
Well, we have offered either a partnership in the stadium as an owner, or we've offered the lease arrangement. And so the teams will have their choice of those options.
This is for Stan Kroenke. Yes. Stan? Hi, Martin from Fox St. Louis. Question for you. I think we all agree stadia, as you like to call it, is a big deal in the NFL. It's why we're here. It's why you expand, et cetera. And it's a huge deal. So why, Stan, wouldn't you engage in the stadium task force that's trying to build you a stadium? If it's such a big, don't tell me about Kevin or Alan or the guys who do your dirty work. Why wouldn't you get involved? Why not even have human decency and call the governor or call the task force? Why didn't you get involved in that process?
That's a real interesting way of phrasing how that all worked. I've known the governor since college. We're on a first-name basis. When you assume something doesn't make it true. I mean, the governor and I have a dialogue. The issue becomes when you build something in Los Angeles, you have a way of charging for things that you can make sense of. The problem that we ran into in St. Louis, and I won't get into the fact that there's lawsuits threatened on what the governor is trying to do, or that there's various holes in the proposal from the city. But Alan and Kevin do a nice job. They do a very good job. There is a formal process of community engagement involved throughout that lease, and that was followed. That was also followed by extensive efforts, including an extra year by the league, not allowing anyone to apply for relocation, to try to come up with a good alternative. That alternative was just not, that did not work. Now, if you want to make the argument that I should donate, then you can make that argument.
Just be involved, is what I'm saying.
I was involved.
David Hahn.
Hi, this is for Bob and Art. I understand that the LA committee came back with a vote first recommending Carson. How did that change into what we see now?
Let me speak to that. When we had our first vote, we did not have the necessary number of votes to approve the proposal. So it was a matter of trying to determine what our owners wanted and what kind of compromise could we come up with that would satisfy enough of them that we would be able to get the requisite 24 votes. And so that's what we did, and it was a very cooperative spirit on the part of everyone, and I think we came up with a very good solution.
I guess I mean, why did you pick Carson first?
Well, there were two very good projects, and they're both very good, and either one could be very successful.
One last question, Andy.
For the commissioner, Ben Higgins from KGTV. Will the league conduct normal business in the offseason with the assumption that they will remain the San Diego Chargers, scheduling, et cetera? And what challenges could be faced because of the uncertainty of whether the Chargers will decide to choose their relocation option?
Well, a couple points, and I'd like just to go back to one point that was just asked. The resolution that the ownership voted on had multiple options today. The committee did make a recommendation, but there were multiple options for which they could choose from. The second point, I think that was a big factor for the LA committee that they expressed to the ownership was that the Chargers and the Oakland Raiders are playing in very old facilities that are essentially built for baseball. And it was something that they have been working on for a number of years to try to get a stadium that would work for football and something that would work for their fans. So I think that was a big issue that I heard from the committee. Going back to your question, those are the options that Dean's going to have to think about. As he said, he wants some time to think about that. He has options, obviously, with respect to LA. I'm sure he'll explore multiple options, multiple opportunities, and make a relatively quick decision, knowing that he's got to make some decisions coming up for the 2016 season. We as the league think we can manage that in the short term from a scheduling standpoint and any other issues. But we're all looking for long-term solutions. We're looking to get stadiums that are going to be suitable for our teams in those communities for the long term. And I think today we took a big step. We have the return of the Los Angeles Rams to their home. We have a facility that is going to be absolutely extraordinary in the Los Angeles market that I think the fans are going to absolutely love. And I think it's going to set a new bar for all of sports, quite frankly. And that we're very proud of. And we're very excited about the potential for Stan and the Rams in Los Angeles. And if Dean decides to do that, or if the Raiders decide to do that, if Dean doesn't, those are issues that we'll deal with. Okay?
We have copies of the resolution to leave up here.
We'll also email it to you as well.